The black lace draped across Sofia Ricci's shoulder like a delicate veil of night, carefully concealing what lay beneath. She adjusted it with practiced precision as she entered the Bellini family's annual gala, her emerald gown cascading around. Her like liquid jewels, 27 years of life had taught her the art of invisibility, even in plain sight. "Another glass of champagne, Miss Ricci?" A waiter appeared with impeccable timing, offering her a crystal flute. "Thank you," she whispered, accepting the drink with her gloved hand. The left one, always the left. The right remained tucked against the folds of her dress, covered in intricate black lace that matched the shawl draped over her shoulder and upper arm. The Bellini estate sprawled before her, a testament to generations of power accumulated through means few dared to question in Milan. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across marble floors where Italy's elite mingled, unaware or uncaring of the blood money that purchased such opulence. Sofia sipped her champagne, observing from the periphery. Her father, Vincenzo Ricci, stood among a circle of men whose collective influence could topple governments. As consigliere to the Bellini family, Vincenzo had secured his daughter an invitation to these sacred inner circles, though she suspected it was more to parade her before potential suitors than any respect for her Harvard business degree. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." The voice came from behind, deep and accented with the rich tones of northern Italy, but polished by American education. Sofia turned, her practiced smile freezing when she recognized Luca Bellini. The heir apparent to the Bellini empire stood before her, devastating in a tailored black suit that highlighted broad shoulders and the confident posture of a man who had never been denied anything in his 32 years. "Mr. Bellini," she acknowledged with a slight nod. "Merely observing, your family throws an impressive party." His eyes, dark as espresso, studied her with unsettling intensity. "We haven't been formally introduced. Please call me Luca." "Sofia Ricci," she offered, though she knew he was aware of her identity. "The consigliere's daughter who disappeared to America and returned with impressive credentials but refuses to work for the family," he said, a hint of amusement in his tone. "You've created quite the mystery." Sofia's grip tightened on her champagne flute. "Perhaps I wanted to make my own way. In a world where our names open every door?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "That's either admirably principled or incredibly naive." A waiter passed, and Luca smoothly exchanged her empty glass for a full one, his fingers brushing hers. Sofia fought the instinct to pull away. "Your father mentioned you're launching a microfinance initiative for women entrepreneurs," he continued, "quite the departure from family traditions." Sofia's surprise must have shown on her face because Luca laughed, a warm sound that seemed at odds with his reputation. Rumors of his ruthlessness in both business and pleasure circulated among Milan's elite circles. "Does it surprise you that I pay attention to worthwhile ventures?" he asked. "It surprises me that you'd consider anything without a violent return." "An investment worthwhile," she replied, before she could censor herself. Instead of offense, appreciation flickered in his expression. Honesty, refreshing in these circles. Music swelled as the orchestra transitioned to a waltz. Luca extended his hand. "Would you honor me with a dance, Sofia Ricci?" Panic flared in her chest. "I don't dance." "Everyone dances," he countered. "Not me." Her right hand unconsciously moved to adjust her lace shawl. Something in her movement caught his attention. His gaze dropped to her covered shoulder, lingering there with curious intensity before returning to her face. The shift in his expression was subtle but unmistakable, recognition dawning. "The fire at your father's Lake Como villa 10 years ago," he said quietly. "You were there." Sofia's world narrowed to his face, the sounds of the party fading to background noise. Few people ever made the connection, and fewer still dared to mention it. "Excuse me," she whispered, turning to leave. His hand caught her left elbow, gentle but firm. "You misunderstand me. I'm not asking for your story. Not. Here, not like this, she paused, confused by the sincerity in his voice. But I would like to know you, Sophia Ricci, he continued. The woman who went against family expectations to help others. The woman who carries her scars like secrets. You don't know anything about my scars, she said, voice barely audible. Luca leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. I know you think they make you less. I see only strength. The words penetrated the carefully constructed armor around her heart, finding hairline fractures she thought she'd sealed years ago. Before she could respond, a commotion near the entrance drew their attention. Two of Luca's security personnel approached quickly. The taller one leaned in, whispering something urgent in his ear. Luca's expression hardened instantly, the charming Heir replaced by the Mafia prince. Unfortunately, business calls, he said, his tone clipped. But our conversation isn't finished, Sophia. With that he was gone, cutting through the crowd with purposeful strides. Sophia watched him disappear, her mind replaying his words. I see only strength. For the first time in a decade, she felt truly seen, and by the most dangerous man in Milan. What she didn't know was that across the city, flames were engulfing a Bellini warehouse, and the fire that had once marked her body would soon pale in comparison to the inferno about to consume their world. 3 days after the Bellini gala, Sophia hunched over financial spreadsheets in her modest office. The space, located above a family-owned bakery in Milan's Navigli district, smelled perpetually of fresh bread and espresso, a comforting contrast. To the sterile corporate environment she'd rejected, a knock interrupted her concentration. Rosa, her assistant and the only other employee of her fledgling microfinance foundation, appeared in the doorway with wide eyes. He's here, Rosa whispered, as if speaking normally might summon the devil. Who's here? Sophia asked, though a flutter in her stomach suggested she already knew. Luca Bellini, in our waiting room. Rosa's voice conveyed both terror and exhilaration. With bodyguards! Sophia's heart stumbled. Since their encounter at the gala, she'd convinced herself their interaction was meaningless, a momentary diversion for a bored Mafia Heir. She smoothed her simple blue blouse, suddenly conscious of her business casual attire. Send him in, she said, removing her reading glasses and squaring her shoulders. Luca entered like he owned the building, which, given his family's real estate holdings throughout Milan, wasn't entirely implausible. Today he wore no tie, his charcoal suit jacket open over a crisp white shirt, looking more like a tech entrepreneur than a Mafia Heir. Your security is abysmal, he stated without preamble. No cameras on the back entrance, and your lock could be picked by a child. Sophia blinked. Good afternoon to you too, Mr. Bellini. He gestured for his bodyguards to wait outside, closing the door behind them. You've built something impressive here, but you're making yourself vulnerable. I'm a microfinance director helping women start bakeries and tailor shops. Who would target me? Luca's expression darkened. The warehouse fire was a message from the Rossis. The Rossis. The rival family from Naples had been encroaching on Bellini territory for years. What does that have to do with me? Nothing. Everything. He paced the small office. Someone is leaking information about Bellini Holdings. The Rossis knew exactly when our security systems would be down for maintenance. Sophia stiffened. And you think I'm involved? No. The immediacy of his response surprised her. But your father might be. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Vincenzo Ricci, consigliere for over 20 years, was above suspicion in most circles. That's impossible. 3 months ago, he began moving substantial assets offshore. Last month, he started missing strategy meetings, and now information only he had access to has been compromised. Sophia's mind raced. Her father had seemed distracted lately, cancelling their weekly dinners twice, but betrayal. There must be another explanation. Luca's eyes softened slightly. I hope so. But until we know, you're in danger. If the Rossis think you know something, or could be leveraged against your father— He didn't finish the sentence. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. Stay at my property in Lake Como until this is resolved. It's secure, remote, and unknown to most. Lake Como. The mention of the location sent a phantom pain across her scarred shoulder. I can't just abandon my work, my clients. Bring your laptop. Set up a temporary office. He gestured around the small space. Rosa can handle things here. Why do you care what happens to me? The question escaped before she could stop it. Luca moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, notes of bergamot and cedar. Because 10 years ago, I was supposed to be at that villa in Lake Como when it burned. Sophia's breath caught. What? Your father invited my father and me for the weekend. Business, he said. At the last minute, my father sent me to New York. Instead, to handle a shipment issue. His eyes held hers. I've always wondered if that fire was meant for us. The implication was clear. If her father was indeed working with the Rossis, he might have been for years, possibly even orchestrating the fire that had claimed her mother's life and left Sophia permanently scarred. This is insane, she whispered, but doubt had taken root. Luca touched her left hand lightly. Trust your instincts, Sophia. What does your gut tell you? She pulled away, moving to the window that overlooked the busy street. People walked past, carrying shopping bags and taking photos, lives untouched by the shadows her family cast. 3 days, she finally said. I'll go to Lake Como for 3 days while I sort this out. Then I'm coming back regardless of what you discover. Relief flickered across his face. Pack light. We leave in an hour. As he turned to go, Sophia called after him. Luca, if my father is guilty, what happens to him? Luca's expression revealed. Nothing. Let's hope we don't have to find out. After he left, Sophia sank into her chair, mind spinning. The flames that had shaped her life might have been meant for someone else entirely, and now she was placing her trust in a man whose business was built on violence and control. If you're enjoying this story of betrayal, scarred beauty, and dangerous attraction, consider supporting our work with a small donation. Your contribution helps cover production costs and allows us to continue creating intense, emotional narratives that keep you turning pages. Thank you for being part of our storytelling journey. As Sophia packed a small bag in her apartment that evening, she couldn't shake the feeling that by morning, everything she thought she knew about her family and herself would be forever changed. The Lake Como villa perched on the mountainside like a sentinel, its stone walls and iron gates promising both protection and imprisonment. As Luca's sleek black Maserati wound up the private road, Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. Lake Como held nothing but painful memories, yet here she was, returning voluntarily with a man whose world represented everything she'd tried to escape. The main house has been renovated, Luca said, breaking the silence that had stretched between them for most of the 2-hour drive. Nothing like it was before. She nodded, grateful for the consideration, but unable to voice it. The grounds came into view, and Sophia was struck by how different everything looked. Gone was the Mediterranean-style villa from her childhood, replaced by a modern structure of glass and stone that reflected the lake's shimmering surface. My architects designed it to maximize natural light, Luca explained as he parked. Every room faces either the mountains or the water. A woman in a crisp black suit greeted them at the entrance. Everything is prepared, Mr. Bellini. The security. Her team has swept the grounds twice. Thank you, Alessandra. This is Miss Ricci. She'll be staying in the East Wing. Alessandra's eyes flickered with recognition, but she maintained professional composure. Of course, I've prepared the blue suite. "Would you like to rest before dinner?" Sophia nodded, suddenly exhausted by the day's revelations and the weight of returning to Lake Como. "Please." The blue suite was aptly named, decorated in varying shades of azure that mimicked the lake's colors. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the water, now golden in the late afternoon sun. Sophia set down her bag and moved to the windows, pressing her palm against the cool glass. "We burned," she whispered to her reflection, "and now I'm back, trying to understand why." After a shower, she changed into fresh clothes, leaving her scarred shoulder uncovered for the first time in years. No black lace, no careful draping. In this temporary sanctuary, perhaps she could stop hiding, if only for a few days. When she emerged for dinner, she found Luca on the terrace, silhouetted against the setting sun, phone pressed to his ear. His posture radiated tension. "Keep looking," he instructed whoever was on the line, "and increase security at all Milanese properties." He ended the call, turning to find Sophia watching him. His eyes immediately went to her exposed shoulder, where burn scars created a topography of pain across her skin. Unlike others who quickly averted their gaze or poorly disguised their pity, Luca's expression remained unchanged, meeting her eyes with the same intensity he'd shown at the gala. "Your father has disappeared," he said without preamble. "His house is empty, cleaned out, bank accounts drained 2 days ago." Sophia gripped the terrace railing. "That doesn't mean he's guilty. Maybe he felt threatened, went into hiding." "My men found this in his study." Luca handed her a photograph. It was hidden in a false drawer bottom. The image showed her father with Salvatore Rossi, the Naples family patriarch. They weren't in conflict. They were smiling, arms around each other's shoulders like old friends. The date stamp showed it was taken 3 weeks ago. This could be manipulation, a setup, she argued, but her voice lacked conviction. Luca's phone buzzed again. He checked the screen, his expression hardening. "The Rossis have called for a meeting tomorrow night. They claim to have evidence that will restructure the balance of power in northern Italy." "What kind of evidence?" "That's what we need to find out." He moved closer. "Your father kept records of everything, Sophia. Financial transactions, blackmail material, evidence of crimes. If he's turned that over to the Rossis, it would destroy the Bellini family." She finished. "And many others." Luca's hand covered hers on the railing. "I need to know what he told you. Any details, any slips, anything unusual in his behavior recently." Sophia pulled away, pacing the terrace. "We barely spoke about family business. After Mother died, he became 2 different people. The loving father who helped me with homework, and the consigliere who disappeared for days into a world I wanted no part of." "The fire," Luca said quietly. "Tell me what you remember." Sophia closed her eyes, memories washing over her like waves. "It was supposed to be a family weekend. Mother and I arrived first. Father was coming the next day with business associates." She touched her scarred shoulder unconsciously. "I woke to smoke. Mother got me out through the bathroom window, then went back for her assistant who was staying in the east wing. The roof collapsed before she could get out. And your father never arrived for the weekend," Luca added, "because he was warned." The implication hit Sophia like a physical blow. "You think he knew, that he let it happen? That's monstrous. Vincenzo has been playing both sides for years, Sophia. The fire might have been a Rossi attack that he knew about, but couldn't stop without revealing his alliance. Or couldn't stop without revealing his betrayal to the Bellinis," she whispered, the horrible truth taking shape. Luca's expression softened. "I'm sorry. I know this isn't what you want to hear." Dinner forgotten, they moved to Luca's study, where reports and photographs covered a large table. As night fell over Lake Como, they pieced together a decade of her father's deception, each revelation another crack in the foundation of Sophia's world. Near midnight she found it, a pattern of meetings at a small property in Switzerland just across the border. "He goes there every third Sunday," she said, pointing to the calendar entries she'd found in her father's encrypted emails, "including this Sunday, 2 days from now." Luca studied the information. "That's our window, before the Rossi meeting." "What are you planning?" Sophia asked, though part of her didn't want to know. "To confront him, to recover whatever evidence he's gathered, before he can hand it to the Rossis." His eyes met hers. "I want you to come with me." "Why? So I can watch you kill my father?" The words came out sharper than intended, but fear made her cruel. Luca didn't flinch. So he might listen. So there might be another way. Sophia laughed, bitterly. "There's always another way with enough money and power." "Not always," he said quietly. "Sometimes there are only impossible choices." He moved toward her, stopping close enough that she could see flecks of amber in his dark eyes. "Why did you really leave Italy, Sophia? After university you could have gone anywhere. Why America?" "To get away from this world, from family obligations, and violence disguised as business. And yet you came back." She looked away. "My mother loved this country, believed it could be better. I thought maybe I could honor that in my small way." His fingers brushed her scarred shoulder, feather-light. "Nothing about you is small, Sophia Ricci. Not your courage, not your convictions." The touch sent electricity through her body, awakening. Sensations long dormant. When his hand moved to cup her face, she didn't pull away. "If we do this," she whispered, "if we confront my father, I need your word that you'll give him a chance to explain." "You have it," he promised, his thumb tracing her lower lip. As his mouth found hers, Sophia surrendered to the kiss, to the connection that had been building since the moment he'd said those words at the gala. "I see only strength." Later, wrapped in sheets that smelled of him, Sophia watched Luca sleep, his face younger, unburdened in repose. Tomorrow they would cross into Switzerland, confronting the father who may have sacrificed her mother and scarred her body for his own gain. The truth might destroy what remained of her family, might even put her at odds with the man beside her. But for the first time in 10 years, she wasn't hiding. Not her scars, not her fears, not her heart. If this tale of dangerous family secrets, unexpected passion, and the strength found in vulnerability has captivated you, please consider supporting our work with a small contribution. Your donation helps cover the costs of creating these immersive stories and ensures we can continue bringing complex, emotional narratives to life. Thank you for being part of our creative journey and helping these characters find their voices. As dawn broke over Lake Como, Sophia rose quietly, preparing herself for whatever truth awaited across the border. The black lace she'd once used to hide remained folded in her bag, unnecessary now. Whatever scars the day might bring, she would bear them openly, with the strength Luca had seen in her all along.